I have a really good video for y'all today. This is going to be a banger. So I'm sure you can see by the title what it is. This is literally everything you need if you want to have bone growth naturally. So really dial this in if you can't go out and get all these hormones and stuff like that, because me personally, I don't want to put nothing like that on my body, first of all. And second of all, I think if you're young, like, just do it naturally. If you do the right things when you're young, then that's where the most growth will come in. For example, like, you know, if you look at people like Clav, like, he's been taking these hormones and stuff like that since a little kid, and yeah, he looks good, but like, bro, like, I don't think it's even worth all the damage you're doing in the long run for the results that he's gotten. So yeah, this is the complete IGF-1 bone growth protocol. So I have everything written down here. I'll pop it up on screen for y'all so y'all can kind of like have visual representation of it too. The absolute most important thing you need to have dialed in is sleep. Sleep is going to be the #1 thing for IGF-1. So the things you need to do is you need to have 8 to 10 hours nightly, not just like 3 times a week. Every night, make sure you're getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And a lot of times too, like, you might not even realize, but you're not even actually sleeping when you're laying down. Your body takes like an hour to get into REM sleep and stuff like that. So I used to wear this thing called Whoop. There's also something called an Oura Ring. I recommend you should track it because that'll show how much sleep you're actually getting. Another thing, sleep before 11 p.m. because you get more growth hormone release early in the night. The later in the night, the less growth hormone release you get. You need to have a dark, cool room. If your room has a lot of light, a lot of distractions, your brain is going to constantly be getting turned on if you're getting woken up in the middle of the night. A lot of people don't even realize this, but you're waking up multiple times in the night. You might not even know it. Like, you might think you slept through the whole night, but your body keeps waking up due to, like, maybe you're sweating or maybe someone made some noise or something like that. So make sure you're in a cool, dark room between 60 to 67 degrees. Number 2, you have to be eating enough calories. There is absolutely no way you're going to grow bone if you're not in a calorie surplus. It's just impossible. So if you're young, you should be avoiding like all this fasting and stuff like that. When I was young, I don't do what I did. Like, when I was 16, I was doing like 5-day fast and stuff like that. I'm an outlier. Don't be doing that shit. It's retarded. Don't do that shit. If you want to fast to get leaner, do like maybe like a 16, 24-hour fast here and there, but don't be doing no 5-day fast like me. You want to avoid aggressive calorie deficits because, like I said, you're not going to grow any bone if you're in a deficit. It doesn't make sense. Also, low carb diets. See, the thing about keto is I think it's very beneficial if you're fully grown, but a low carb diet during puberty just means that you're not going to have as much insulin response, which is literally what helps that IGF-1 get released. So you don't want to be blunting that at all. Make sure you're getting carbs from good food sources like fruits, stuff like that. You don't want to be eating too much bullshit. Like, don't be eating no like sweetie pie shit like with hella sugar. Just be eating like fruits and stuff like that. How much calories should you be eating? So what you want to do is figure out what your baseline is. Everyone has a different baseline, and then just eat between 300 to 500 calories above that. Don't be eating like 1,000. Don't be eating like nothing crazy because you're just gonna get fat if you do that. Don't fast daily if growth is a goal. That's pretty obvious. You don't want to be constricting your calories or blunting like protein synthesis and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to working out, you want to make sure that you have post-workout carbs, because if you're not getting those post-workout carbs and your glycogen is going to be low, your IGF-1 is going to be low, and you're not going to grow any bone. Number 3, your protein quality matters more than the quantity of protein. For example, like something like eggs that has more amino acids, because IGF responds strongly to essential amino acids, especially leucine, methionine, and glycine. Those are the 3 best amino acids. Now, the best foods, like I said, eggs. Eggs is a top tier food. You cannot beat eggs. Eggs is the most bioavailable protein with the most amino acids. So make sure you're eating. Me personally, it might sound crazy, but I probably eat between 8 to 10 eggs a day. Like, I really recommend that, especially if you're young. Dairy is a good one. A lot of dairy is pasteurized, which isn't good, but if that's the only option, just make sure you're getting some form of dairy in. Maybe even yogurt, kefir, cottage cheese, stuff like that. Beef is another good one, fish. And a supplement you can take too is collagen. Collagen is very good. It has a lot of amino acids. It's good for your skin, bones, joints, and all that. Number 4, like I was mentioning about insulin with fasting and stuff like that, how you won't have a lot of IGF-1 if you're fasting a lot. Insulin is the signal for IGF-1. So insulin is not the enemy unless you have like diabetes or something like that, which I'm sure most of y'all don't have diabetes. This does not mean sugar binges, but just make sure you're having carbs around your training. Make sure that you're avoiding low carbs because, like I said, like your IGF-1 is going to be very low if you're constricting your carbs. And you don't want this if you're young trying to grow bone. Number 5. This is something that a lot of y'all should already be doing, but if not, make sure you're lifting heavy and sprinting. Do heavy compound lifts, 5 to 10 reps. This is going to boost your growth hormone a lot. Do explosive work like sprints and jumps, and even things like short, intense boxing rounds too. Like those are good for IGF-1 too. The reason I say short training is because typically with like long endurance training, it increases cortisol, which suppresses testosterone and IGF-1, and you do not want that at all. 6, this kind of goes off of what I was just saying about cortisol. You have to be controlling your cortisol aggressively. Cortisol is the enemy. You do not want cortisol. That's just going to blunt all of your growth effects. So don't overtrain. Make sure you're eating enough carbs. Another supplement you can take too is magnesium glycinate, around like 400 milligrams, 200 to 400 milligrams, depending on your size. That's really good for cortisol. It's also good because it's a electrolyte, which helps your muscles, especially if you're training a lot. Another good thing for cortisol is make sure you're meditating, breath work. I like to meditate in the morning and at night because it just helps me go to sleep and it helps me wake up. I'm the kind of person who I need some time to wake up. If I get up right away, I'm just going to be spiking my cortisol, and I don't want to do that first thing in the morning. The thing, you don't want to be having caffeine late in the day. Caffeine increases your cortisol, and if you're drinking caffeine later in the day, so let me explain this to you real quick so you understand why. So cortisol typically is the highest in this morning, and as the day goes on, it goes down. So if you're drinking caffeine like at 2 p.m., you're spiking your cortisol, and your body is not supposed to be spiking cortisol around that time because the cortisol tapers down, so that when it comes nighttime, you're able to go to sleep. So just make sure you're not drinking caffeine past like lunchtime because it's going to really affect your cortisol. Number 7, sunlight and vitamin D. I don't know if you guys know this, but vitamin D is responsible for bone growth. If you're not getting any sunlight, make sure you're taking vitamin D. Now, the supplement you want to take, because a lot of vitamin D supplements are bullshit, I recommend taking vitamin D3 with K2 because that actually helps you absorb the vitamin D, because a lot of them are just bullshit supplements. So make sure you get one with K2. Obviously, the best thing to do is get sunlight. If you can get sunlight, get at least 60 minutes a day. I mean, that's not that much time. If you don't have time to go out and outside for a little bit, just take the supplement. Number 8. So here are some supplements that can definitely help you. Zinc is one of those. Zinc. I stopped taking zinc because if you're eating strictly whole foods, you don't need zinc because beef has a lot of zinc, eggs have zinc. Like, you're not going to need it if you're eating enough whole foods. Another one which I mentioned is magnesium. Magnesium is really good for your muscles. You know, if you're training a lot, it helps your muscles stay relaxed. It's good for cortisol. Supplement is creatine. Creatine increases your DHT, and DHT is responsible for a lot of like growth pathways in your body. If someone's telling you, oh, creatine, you're not natural, this is bullshit. Creatine is naturally in foods. You're just taking more than you would get from foods. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And number 9, I recommend doing this because obviously you want to be lean. You don't want to be a fat ass. And the fatter you are, the lower testosterone. To an extent, like if you're under 10% body fat, then it's detrimental. But like I would say between 10 to 12 is a sweet spot for testosterone. So what you need to be doing is cycling IGF-1 seasons and low IGF-1 seasons. So what I mean by that is have growth periods and have longevity periods. So what that's going to look like is maybe, it might be different for everyone, but what that would look like is maybe like 3 weeks of a calorie surplus doing all of this aggressive stuff so that you're releasing as much IGF-1 as possible. And then the next week, do like a calorie deficit, maybe fast a couple times that week, and just keep cycling that. Because what this is going to do is help keep you lean, help with your cortisol. This is going to help with the IGF-1 and make it more sensitive. Because if you're eating a lot, your insulin is less sensitive. So this is going to kind of resensitize your insulin and keep the IGF-1 high. Those are the 9 things that you need if you really want to dial in bone growth without taking any like hormones or any bullshit like that.